Okay. Hey, Randi-Lee, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
You are brave. Oh, okay. And I love your background. Is that real or is that one of those vinyl backgrounds?
It's a vinyl.
Okay.
Yep, just my sticker.
Oh, you know what? It looks good though. Like it could almost be real wood.
Yeah, just from Amazon. Nice little sticker.
Yeah,
Makes me look fancy.
perfect. And I like those better than the fake ones, the superimposed ones. You tend to dissolve into the background on some of those.
Yeah, yeah. At least this was my husband's idea, actually, just to put something nice behind me so that it looks good.
Oh, it looks great and it's clean and yeah, it's perfect. So you are an author and you're in Canada?
I am.
Where in Canada are you?
I am pretty close to Niagara Falls.
You're on the good side of Niagara Falls. Yeah.
Yes, I am. The pretty
The
side.
pretty side. Is that Minolta Tower still there?
I I don't know.
Don't know. It was a
No
revolving
idea.
restaurant on the top of a building right at the falls and we
Okay.
ate there and it was way overpriced and the food was terrible. But the view was incredible. So, I suppose it was worth it. And you're also an author, and you've got a book out called Embarrassingly Me. Is that the one where?
Embracing
Oh,
me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't even read my own writing.
I like that though. I'll have to use that title for a different book.
Okay, Embracing Me. All right. So that's the one we're promoting today on the show, yeah?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Before we get to your book, though, I did want to hit on a couple of points that are on your bio. Number one, kickboxing.
Oh yeah.
Do you do
Been
kickboxing?
doing it almost 10 years now. I've competed internationally. I've been on Team Canada. Um, Last year before COVID hit, I was a coach for the Ontario Winter Games for the youth. I love it.
Kickboxing isn't co-ed, though, right? You would have to box against women, not men.
Yes. Yeah. It's within your gender, within your um,
Weight?
age bracket,
Yeah.
within your weight bracket, and within your experience level as well.
Do they have, like, in martial arts, do they have, like, belt levels or something for kickboxing?
Some places have done that just to help their students out, but overall, there isn't.
Because I'm quite sure if kickboxing is considered a martial art or not.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Okay. So it falls in the same category as karate and jujitsu and you're also a mental health advocate, is that correct?
Yes. So my big thing is, and that's why I always have my inspirational quotes. My big thing is to make sure that people try to speak as open and honest as they can and spread the word that people with mental health are people.
One thing that has been kind of perplexing to me is that I know over the decades we have improved greatly on our techniques and our treatment of people with mental health issues. We don't do lobotomies anymore, and we don't do,
Thank goodness.
yeah, some of those old institutional places were scary. So we don't do that anymore. We've got a lot of drugs that have helped a lot of people to live
Mhm.
normal lives. But on the other hand, we're seeing record numbers of mental health patients, if you will, homeless and living on the streets, particularly in LA and San Francisco. Why do you suppose there was such a huge upsurge?
I think a lot of reasons. So, as much as we are not doing lobotomies and things, which is great, I'm not saying we should go back to that, but we used to put these people into asylums and forget about them. Well, now that we don't have asylums, there's still those people, and now instead of being pushed to the side in an asylum to forget about them, they're just left on the street to be forgotten about. So now we see them, but they're still not receiving the help that they need.
Well, obviously,
And
leaving them on the street is not a very good solution.
no,
They would almost be better in an asylum, at least that they would be taken care of to some
in
degree, right?
in a healthy asylum. Well, I don't want to use the word asylum. In a healthy homing situation that could
Right.
give them the proper assistance.
Right, I agree. Supervised.
For some need that, and some just need the proper medication that would help them function better.
Do the people that end up on the streets typically go off their medication, and that's why they kind of lose
It could
connection?
be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always lots of different reasons why, but one of them could be that they're off their medications or they can't afford their medication, so they've had to go off of them. I'm going to pick on the States for a second, particularly in the States, because I know you guys have to pay for everything. In Canada, we do have a little bit easier time to get the medication, though it's not free. It can be, there's different like government way assistance out there to help with that. And sometimes they don't have the support to say make it to doctor's appointments or get to the therapy appointment because medication only takes us so far. But to truly deal with a mental health issue, we have to do the work. And that usually involves going to therapy or having a counselor to talk to. And if you can't make it to them or you can't afford them, then how do you get the help?
What do you think would be a good solution for all these people on the street? I mean, it's not an easy solution.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy solution. I mean, in an ideal world, therapy would be available for everyone. Would be able to access it in a reasonable time frame because of waitlist and in a reasonable affordability type of way. But I do realize that the psychologists giving that help, they are a business. They also have bills that they need to afford. So it's not an easy answer, but I think on a grassroots kind of level, what we can do as just individual people is treat others the way you want to be treated, which I mean, that's something that a lot of us are taught when we're little, but for whatever reason, as we get older, we pick and choose who we want to do that with instead of just being a human to everyone.
Well, that's very true. We kind of get a little tribal as we get older. Kids are better at that than we are. Little kids tend to speak to everybody.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they have no fear of anything, which I mean, understanding that some people can get aggressive, and I'm not saying mental health means you're aggressive. You can be completely sober and totally have no mental health issue and be an aggressive person. Um, but when you're little, you don't think about that. And as we get older, we think about that. But there is this big association with mental health and aggression. And there's no real proof that just because you have mental health, you're going to be aggressive.
Well, not all people with mental health issues are aggressive. Some are, some
Yeah,
aren't, right?
exactly. Just like if you don't have mental health, some are and some aren't.
Right. So, what is the topic of your book?
Mental
That's what I
health.
thought. Okay. Well, let's
So,
transition
like,
into that. Is this a particular story, or is it?
it is. So, embracing me is specifically my journey with depression and learning to embrace that part of myself because it was a shameful part of myself for a while. I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want people to think that I wasn't a good person or I was aggressive. I go back to that comment we were talking about. And I didn't want people to look at me differently. But that by doing that, by hiding that part of myself, I wasn't getting help. I wasn't getting on the right medication. I wasn't going to therapy. Like I wasn't doing the things I needed to do, which all it did was make it worse. So the book is all about embracing that part of yourself and what kind of coping mechanisms worked for me. Maybe they'll work for somebody else. And understanding that medication is not a bad thing. Some of us need it. Some people don't, but some of us need it. And it's okay if you do. And going to therapy doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you a person who understands that you need more help. So that's really the basis of that book.
We all get depressed at some point in our life. How do you differentiate between just a depression and having an issue with depression?
It all comes down to the DSM-5, which is the diagnostic criteria that doctors use to give that diagnosis to people. And it has to do a lot with the length of time that you've been feeling that depression. So I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know that it's a lot based on how long have you felt this way to get the diagnosis of it. And yeah, lots of people, they go through like a low mood or a depressed mood, especially if there's like a death in the family or something very stressful, you can go into, a 3, 4 day, a week long state of depression, but you bounce back out of it. When you suffer with depression on a regular basis, we don't bounce out of it in a week. It tends to be, at least for me, it can be months long before I bounce back out of it.
So what happens to you during those months? You don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to do
Yeah.
anything, basically?
Don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. Ice cream is my best friend, so the scale is not. I don't find joy in the things that I normally do. Like we talked about kickboxing, how much I love it. When I'm depressed, I have no urge to do it. It doesn't make me happy. I don't care.
So what happened to snap you out of it? Did you get medication or what happened?
So I did both. I got medication and I saw a therapist. And from doing both of those things in together, what the medication does is it helps me to regulate. So it's brain chemistry. It helps my brain to regulate its hormone levels so that when I go to the therapist, I am more able to take in what they're saying and utilize it.
Oh, I see. So the medication sort of opened you up to be able to hear. So when you were in your depressive states, people could talk to you and try to help you, but it just
It didn't
wouldn't
matter.
register. Yeah.
No, it didn't matter because my brain was telling me that what they were saying was all lies anyways. Um, they're just saying it because that's, it's a nice thing to say, but in all reality, they would be better off without you still.
Hmm. That's interesting. So how long have you been on your medication?
The first time I went on it, I was on it for about a year and I was like, oh, I feel so much better. I'll get off of it. I didn't talk to my doctor about it. I didn't even tell my husband. I just sort of did it. Would not recommend that to people. It was not a good idea. I want people to understand that it's not a good idea to just go, I feel better. I'm going to go off my antidepressants. Because what happens then is I went right back down because for me personally, I need those medications to help my brain produce the right amount of hormones to keep me kind of balanced. And I went for a while without it and I just slipped right back down. So I've been back on them now for about a year.
Okay. I've heard that if people go off those types of medications, that the crash is even worse than where you started in the first place.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't
Yeah.
good at all.
Okay. Well, we do have to kind of wind this down. Do you have a website that you want to give out?
Yes. So you can find me at www.rbwriting.ca.
rbwriting.ca. Okay, great. And there's links to your social media and your book and
Yes. Yep. All the links for my social media and my books and my podcast show, they will all be on there.
okay. How many books do you have out?
5, 3 nonfiction and 2 kids books.
Oh, great. What are the kids' books about?
One is a Christmas story that I released last year, and the other one is for really little kids, and it's about a cat's day, and it all rhymes.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, well, Randi-Lee, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you
And
for having me.
best of luck with